Did you know there are profound mysteries about the heavens that most people have never heard of? The Bible not only mentions three heavens, but reveals their functions, battles, and secrets so intense they could change the way you see the world. Imagine a place where angels wage war, where natural phenomena conceal divine messages, and a paradise that is the final destination for those who live in communion with God. Sounds like something out of this world, doesn't it? And in a way, it truly is. Few realize that Lucifer, before his fall, was part of this celestial scenario. As one of the most exalted cherubim, his rebellion impacted both the heavens and the earth in ways we still feel today. But why are these secrets so forgotten? Perhaps because they require us to look beyond the visible, to desire a deeper understanding of biblical truths. One thing is certain, though. Understanding the three heavens is not just fascinating, it's transformative. After all, if there's spiritual meaning in every detail of the heavens, what does that say about the purpose of your life? Get ready to explore how the three heavens reveal God's plan, the invisible battles, and the promise of an eternal paradise. You'll not only uncover impactful truths, but also understand how they can shift your perspective. Are you ready to uncover these mysteries and align your life with celestial realities? Let's dive into this study that will open your eyes to a dimension few dare to discover. The first heaven is the one you see every day when you look up. The endless blue, the clouds dancing with the wind, and even the shy stars appearing at night. This is the stage for visible and tangible manifestations, where humans experience both God's power in natural phenomena and the grandeur of the physical universe. A thunderclap, for instance, is more than just sound. It's a reminder that invisible forces govern the visible. When you witness a sunrise, you're not just seeing light. You're experiencing a glimpse of biblical truths about the Creator's harmony with creation. However, the first heaven is not just a backdrop. It's a veil separating the spiritual and physical worlds. The rain that falls to nourish the earth symbolizes divine provision for all, both righteous and unrighteous. Have you noticed how a simple breeze can calm an anxious heart? These details are no coincidence. There's a secret in the spiritual meaning of these phenomena, inviting us to see beyond the surface, like someone searching for hidden truths behind every cloud. And of course, this heaven also teaches us to reflect. Just as angels use the unseen to act, the first heaven challenges us to find lessons beyond the obvious. Want an example? Take a moment to admire the sky at sunset. Turn it into an exercise of gratitude and contemplation. In this space, we begin to understand how deeply connected we are to the Creator. But is this the limit of divine revelations? Spoiler alert, we've barely scratched the surface. The second heaven is a realm of mystery and awe. When you think of outer space, what comes to mind? Stars shining from light years away, galaxies swirling in the infinite, and planets defying comprehension. But according to biblical truths, this is also the battleground where spiritual forces collide. Here, it's not just about science or beauty, but a cosmic conflict between angels and demons. It's like a war happening behind the scenes, with repercussions directly impacting earthly reality. A powerful example is found in the book of Daniel, when an angel was sent to deliver a divine message, but was blocked by evil forces in the second heaven. Can you imagine the impact of such a battle in the spiritual world? It's in this realm that angels, like Michael, confront powers and principalities to fulfill God's purposes. For believers, understanding this is like uncovering a crucial secret. We're not alone in our struggles. Greater forces are at work on levels we cannot see. And this brings a responsibility. Persistent prayer is a mighty weapon. But don't think these battles are disconnected from your life. The second heaven challenges us to perceive the meaning behind the invisible. When you feel stuck or face inexplicable hardships, it could reflect these spiritual battles. So how can you strengthen your spiritual shield? Meditate on the word, fast, and intercede. Remember, just as angels fight up there, your actions here make a difference. But if this heaven is a battlefield, what about the third heaven, where ultimate peace reigns? The third heaven is the pinnacle of divine creation, God's dwelling place, where purity and perfection transcend human understanding. Picture this: a place with no pain, tears, or injustice, only the full presence of the Creator. This is where Paul, in his vision, was caught up and heard inexpressible things beyond words. This paradise is like a reserved treasure where the deepest secrets of eternity are kept. It is the home of the saved, the angels, and God Himself. It not only inspires hope, but also gives life purpose. In this sacred space, celestial worship takes place unceasingly. Imagine thousands of angels, cherubim, and seraphim chanting, "Holy, holy, holy," before God's throne. It's a melody that echoes forever, filling every corner with unparalleled spiritual significance. But this isn't far from you. Every moment you worship God here on earth, you connect with this heavenly reality. How about setting aside a few minutes today to reflect on your way of worship? Turn your prayer into a genuine act of praise. More than a destination, the third heaven is a promise that teaches us about God's sovereignty. It reveals that despite the conflicts of the second heaven and the limitations of the first, there is an ultimate purpose in everything. However, this place is not accessible to everyone, only to those who surrender to the Creator and recognize His power. If this heaven is the goal, what do we learn about the angelic hierarchies that cooperate in this divine plan? Angelic hierarchies unveil a divine system of organization that defies earthly logic. From the seraphim continually worshiping before God's throne to archangels like Michael and Gabriel, each class of angels has a specific purpose. It's like a perfectly orchestrated symphony where every note plays its part to manifest biblical truths. For example, Michael is described as a warrior, while Gabriel is the faithful messenger. These angels don't act randomly. Their functions reflect the Creator's orderly nature. Consider the cherubim, who guard the way to the tree of life and protect God's glory. They're not merely symbolic figures. They represent God's untouchable holiness. Meanwhile, powers and principalities have administrative roles in the cosmos, managing spiritual aspects beyond our understanding. And here lies the secret. Each angelic class reflects a deeper meaning, teaching us about obedience, discipline, and purpose. Want a practical example? Set priorities in your life, just as these hierarchies operate in heaven. Organize your goals with a greater purpose in mind. These hierarchies are not just a fascinating subject. They also remind us that we're part of a complex, interconnected universe. Everything that happens spiritually reverberates physically. That's why understanding the role of angels isn't merely theological, but an inspiration to live with order and purpose. However, there's a dark chapter in this story: Lucifer, the fallen cherub, whose rebellion altered the cosmic balance. How can we comprehend the impact of this celestial betrayal? The reflection of heaven in human life. The three heavens teach us that life is a reflection of the spiritual. Every detail of the universe carries a purpose, revealing biblical truths that go beyond the visible. The first heaven reminds us of God's beauty and provision, the second, of the battles we face daily, and the third, of eternal hope in the Creator's presence. This celestial structure directly reflects how we live. When we face conflicts, like those in the second heaven, it's not just bad luck or coincidence. It's a reminder that we're part of something much greater. So how can we live with awareness of this reality? The answer lies in constantly seeking God's presence. By understanding the meaning of the heavens, we realize the importance of aligning our actions with spiritual values. For example, just as angels fulfill their functions with discipline, we are called to live with purpose and focus. Want a practical example? Dedicate weekly time to reviewing your priorities, praying, and adjusting your goals. This simple habit can be like building a connection with the third heaven, where God's plan is sovereign and perfect. It's in this balance between the physical and the spiritual that we discover the secret to a fulfilled life. More than just learning, the earthly lessons drawn from the heavens invite transformation. It's not just about observing the sky or admiring its beauty, but seeking a relationship with the Creator behind it all. This requires practice, from moments of silence in nature to meditating on the scriptures that reveal the divine plan. But can we fully understand this enigma? Perhaps the key lies in the simplicity of looking up and seeing not just the infinite, but also God's message for our lives. A call to worship on earth. Celestial worship, as experienced in the third heaven, transcends anything we know on earth. Imagine thousands of angels, cherubim, and seraphim proclaiming God's holiness incessantly in a harmony that echoes through eternity. This unending praise is more than music. It reflects the ultimate meaning of worship, total surrender. On earth, we're invited to partake in this divine moment, even on a smaller scale. Have you ever considered how your worship connects with this heavenly choir? Worship goes beyond singing or praying. It's a way of life. When we turn our daily actions into acts of worship, we live as reflections of God's glory. How about starting with simple gestures like expressing gratitude during a challenging moment, or perhaps dedicating specific time to individual praise? After all, genuine worship here prepares the spirit for what will one day be eternal. Remember, genuine worship connects the first, second, and third heavens, bringing the supernatural into the natural in a unique and powerful way. However, this worship doesn't happen in isolation. Jesus himself taught that the Father seeks worshipers who will worship him in spirit and truth. This means that celestial worship inspires us to reflect on the state of our hearts. Are we willing to fully surrender? What you do here in the first heaven echoes in the third. But if worship brings us closer to God, how does it impact the battle fought in the second heaven? There's more to this story than meets the eye. Conflict in the heavens and its effects on earth. The cosmic war is a spiritual drama that began with Lucifer's rebellion and continues to shape the universe's destiny. Imagine the second heaven as an invisible battlefield where angels and demons clash for purposes we often don't comprehend. This conflict is not distant. It directly affects earthly reality, from daily decisions to significant historical events. When something seems inexplicably difficult, like a series of challenges appearing out of nowhere, it could reflect this battle. It's a reminder that our fight is not against flesh and blood, but against spiritual forces of evil. The impact of this war is evident in various biblical passages. Consider the angel who needed Michael's help to overcome demonic resistance and deliver a message to Daniel. This teaches us that battles in the second heaven are not isolated acts. They carry deep meaning in God's plan. How do we prepare for this? Prayer, fasting, and steadfast faith are powerful weapons. Want a practical example? Set a fixed time to pray, even if it's just 15 minutes daily. This simple habit can significantly impact your spiritual life. Additionally, the cosmic war reveals the seriousness of living an active spiritual life. Ignoring this reality is like entering a battle unarmed. Every decision, every thought carries weight that echoes in this invisible conflict. This shouldn't cause fear, but inspire vigilance. After all, the third heaven reminds us that the ultimate victory has already been won. But are we willing to live as victors? That's the real question, and it leads us to the importance of understanding divine sovereignty in all this. Divine sovereignty is the thread that ties all the heavens together. The first heaven reveals the beauty of his creation. The second reflects his power amidst conflict, and the third expresses the absolute purity of his presence. Nothing, absolutely nothing, escapes God's control. When we look at the stars or feel the wind on our faces, we're witnessing signs of a creator who keeps everything in perfect order. It's like a maestro conducting a cosmic symphony where every note, even the dissonant ones, has a clear purpose. This sovereignty isn't just a distant theological idea. It has practical implications for every person's life. For instance, when we face problems, it's natural to ask, why is this happening to me? But the Bible reminds us that God works all things for the good of those who love him. How can we apply this daily? Try shifting your perspective. Instead of focusing on difficulties, ask what you can learn or how you can grow through them. Keep a gratitude journal, noting small signs that God is in control. This can completely change how you view challenges. Ultimately, divine sovereignty invites us to trust God completely, even when we don't understand the path. He is above the heavens, governing both spiritual battles and the smallest earthly details. The universe's complexity isn't a mystery to him. Instead, it's an expression of his glory. But how do we live in response to this knowledge? What do we do with these biblical truths? Perhaps the next step is aligning our lives with the Creator's plan, allowing him to reveal his purpose in every detail. Lessons and reflections from the three heavens. The three heavens are not just descriptions of places. They carry a deep spiritual meaning that directly impacts how we live. The first heaven teaches us to recognize God's provision and beauty in the everyday. The second reminds us of battles we cannot see. And the third points to eternal hope in the Creator's presence. It's like a guide connecting the visible and invisible worlds, revealing secrets few dare to explore. Every natural phenomenon, spiritual struggle, and heavenly promise has a purpose. We just need to look with eyes of faith. Reflecting on these heavens challenges us to seek balance between the material and the spiritual. Think of the first heaven as an invitation to value small things. The air we breathe, the warmth of the sun, the rain nourishing the earth. The second heaven teaches us the need for constant vigilance and prayer, as invisible battles have tangible effects on our daily lives. And the third? It's the reminder that our earthly journey is temporary and that a greater purpose awaits us. How about applying this by dedicating moments each day to meditate on the Word and pray more deeply? These spiritual lessons are an invitation to real transformation. It's not enough to understand, we must act. If the heavens reflect divine order and purpose, how are we reflecting that in our lives? Are we living with gratitude in the first heaven, perseverance in the face of second heaven battles, and the hope that comes from the third? The spiritual meaning of the three heavens is clear. Living connected to the Creator is the key to understanding our existence. But are we ready to dive deeper into this relationship and discover what God still wants to reveal? Now that you've explored the secrets of the three heavens, the question is, what will you do with this knowledge? Knowing that a battle is being fought in the invisible, that angels and demons influence what happens on earth, and that the third heaven is a promise for the faithful cannot remain just information. It's a call to action. How can you live with greater purpose? What changes are necessary to align your life with divine sovereignty? Here's a challenge. Why not start today? Take a moment to pray more intentionally, meditate on the scriptures, or even observe the sky as a reminder of God's greatness. These small actions can transform your spiritual outlook and strengthen your connection with the Creator. After all, if the entire universe reflects God's glory, your life can also reflect this truth. If you want to keep learning more about these biblical revelations and how to apply them to your life, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. That way, you won't miss any content that can help you grow spiritually. Don't miss out on this journey of learning. God has so much more to reveal to you. So, are you ready for the next step?